bet you that Jenkins buys that shit then. Because she ain't got to deal with your ass. She's probably laughing at how stupid you are right now, bro. Well, Jamie's probably laughing at how dumb you're acting right now. I guarantee you, bro. And you not know if Sharon was up here, you wouldn't be doing this shit. So why do it when she ain't around, motherfucker? Oh, wait, I forgot. That's because you don't give a fuck about her.
Sorry, do you know how much like a lounge flight bag costs? And what's like the most expensive gift you've ever given anybody? I'm curious.
No, man, you ain't gonna Cyrax me, nigga.
Alright, I've spent more on these handbags than you've ever earned in your life.
Hey, Marty, why don't you do yourself a favor?
But it's all from you, dude.
Hey, Nick, why don't you do yourself a favor? Get the fuck off the internet and stop being a fat fucking lazy goddamn slob, motherfucker. Marty, you don't even work, nigga. All you do is sit on the internet and eat that for cash like a little bitch.
Sorry, so just throw a number at me. What do you think I made in an hour and 50 minutes? Just throw a number at me.
Hey, Nick, why don't you stop fucking diverting from the fact that you're my bitch now?
So, Cyrax, you talked about scrap before. I'm curious, like, I want to know more about that. I'll pay you if you can tell me more about your scrap career.
Yeah, Marty, see, I know you're a little trick, dude. All you're trying to do is use me for content. That's all it is. Why? Let me ask you this, Nick. Why are you so desperate on using me for content? Why are you so fucking desperate on you?
You're fascinating. You're one of a kind. You're the most delusional person on the planet, and you're like a little child. It's so great watching you. There's nobody like you. That's why.
So you know what's funny about that, Nick? I come up with my own content. You're over here stealing content. That shows how original you're not. That shows how pathetic you are.
Sorry, you stole an entire book from AJ Vega, Mr. Original.
Whatever, dude. Get the fuck over it, bro. You're mad at the fact that I'm...
You steal all your music.
Oh, really? I steal all your music, right?
A lot of
Where's your proof, nigga? Where's your proof?
Okay, so, Cyrax, here.
Do
you remember you performed a song called Lost Innocence? Do you remember that, Cyrax? Do you remember the song you made called Lost Innocence? You want to listen to it together?
Hey, Marty, you remember that time that I beat your ass? Oh,
no.
wait.
No.
No. How about this? How about remember that time when you pulled up my...
Hey, Cyrax, remember that time you hid behind your grandmother? Oh, yeah, you probably do, because that actually happened. Remember that, Cyrax?
Hey, Nick, remember that time you showed up outside my house and did you knock on my door like a badass because you ain't nothing but a bitch?
Well, yeah.
Well, then we came outside.
Why would I knock on the door when grandmother and Ed were out there saying, no, leave us alone, we're calling the police? You called the police hours before I got there.
God, look, this was Marty during that winter. When my family called his ass down and he was outside. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, you asked the question before, why I'm interested in you. This is why. This is why I'm interested in you. Because you're delusional and a man-child. And a pathetic little weak.
Hey, Nick, you want a joke? Look in the fucking mirror. You are the joke of YouTube.
Okay.
Look at you. This was you outside that day. You pulled up. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't even walk up to my goddamn door like a...
Sorry, so we arranged a time that I would be there. You blocked me on Facebook Messenger and called the police hours beforehand. That was you. There's proof of it.
You stood outside like a bitch.
You called the police beforehand. You blocked me on Facebook Messenger so I couldn't get a hold of you. And you hid in your attic and sent your grandmother out.
Hey, Nick, here's an idea for you. Get off your lazy ass and get a real fucking job. And leave YouTube to the motherfuckers like...
So I'll ask you again, like, what do you think I've made in an hour and 53 minutes?
Well, let's see, if I had it my way, you wouldn't get a single goddamn dime of what...
Well, you don't.
Oh, Marty, by the way, I am going to come after you for all that money that you owe me, including that $100.
The $100. Cyrax, that wasn't Skull Scratcher comedy, dude. That wasn't Skull Scratcher comedy. Let's be honest. You've lost it.
You're a scam artist, Nick.
No.
You're a scamming...
You didn't deliver. I'm not even going to negotiate with you because it was shit.
Hey, nigga, why don't you shut the fuck up, you little fucking shitbag?
It was shit.
You're a shitbag, Nick. You're
I gave you $2.
You're a scam artist, nigga. You're a scam artist.
Sorry, I had somebody go over there and try to pay you $100 in pennies. They were throwing them at your window. You remember that, Cyrax?
Marty. Hey, everybody. Marty's an e-bagger. Marty.
So, okay, fine. Call what you will. Whatever. Cyrax, if you're not going to accept the payment, I'm not going to play reindeer games with you.
No, here's the thing, bro. I ain't calling it what I want. I'm calling it like you want. And that's the difference between me and you, Nick. You don't have an honest bone in your body. You're a lying sack of shit. You lie about everything. You lie about everything, Nick. You lie about me to give you. You lie about the shit that I do. You lie about caring about Sarah. You say you care about Sarah. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't care about her. You don't care about Sarah. You don't give a shit. You don't.
Let me say this. Like, I've spent more on these handbags than you've made in your lifetime. And you don't give a thing to your family. You don't.
Let me ask you this, Nick the bitch. If you cared about Sarah, why you up here fucking with people?
Well, I mean, why not?
I mean.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
I mean, why not?
So let me ask you a question. Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? It doesn't do anything for you. This provides a few dollars, okay? And it's fun. It's fun. Look at you go. You're a little fucking retard.
Why don't we look at how much you a dumbass and how many times I've proved your ass wrong? You are a dumbass. Marty, you're not even original with what you do. You literally have to restream my stream just to get content, which shows, one, you're lazy as fuck and don't know how to create original content, and two, that shows how fucking lazy you are, and three, that shows how much you'll...
So 1 and 2 are the same point. So is there a third, or are you just going to say that I'm lazy?
At least I create my own content. At least I don't go to people like you for content. At least I don't bully.
Cyrax, you have an Amazon wish list, dude. You want people to buy little samurai outfits. I saw that. Are you going to really wear a samurai outfit, Cyrax?
Let me tell you right now.
No, I want to know.
No. You don't get to know about that.
Why not?
You don't.
Why don't I get to know about it? Well, I know about it. You say I don't get to know about it, but I know about it. Are you going to wear that little samurai costume?
Let me tell you right now, dumbass.
What are you going to do with it?
You fucking hate sport Jew boy.
What are you going to do with it?
Let me tell you right now, you fat fucking tug of ours. Let me tell you right now. No, you want to know what you're...
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this samurai.
Hey, fat ass, why don't you shut up and open your goddamn
ear? Are you embarrassed about it?
Oh, no. Here's the thing, Marty.
Are you just going to wear it around the house then if you don't want people to know that you have a samurai costume?
Up here, fat ass. The Urban Samurai brand goes against idiots like you that are bullies on the internet. While you're out here spreading negativity.
So, you want it or don't you? You want it or don't you? That's the question. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to wear it?
You damn fucking... Hey, if that means bringing motherfuckers like you down, you're damn fucking right, Marty. Like I said, Nick,
you're going to put on...
Sport, right? You're going to sport, right, Nick? Well, guess what? I'm leading the charge.
Well, a grown adult, 32-year-old man, is going to dress up as a samurai costume from his grandmother's attic and fight the bullies. This is why you're the best, Cyrax. This is why you're the best. I'm just telling you.
Hey, Nick, you wanted a war against me, right? Because I'm not with you. You wanted to go against me, right? Well, guess what? I'm leading the charge, bitch. I'm coming for your ass. I'm coming for your mom, your dad, bro.
Well, you better do it quick, Cyrax. You're going to be in prison very soon. You're going to be in prison very soon, my friend.
Well, I'll see that one, dumbass. Because you and I both know, without me, you wouldn't survive. We all know this, Nick. Without me. See, Marty, here's what you don't realize. Well, let me ask you this, Nick. What would being thrown in jail do you? Like, how would that benefit you? Because you clearly see...
Well, you're very replaceable, actually. You're very replaceable. I'm just on to the next one. I've done it, and I'll do it again, you know? You're replaceable. You're very replaceable.
Oh, Nick.
You're not unique. You're not talented. Everyone hates you. And I think everyone's kind of had it with you. Everyone's had it with you, including your grandmother, Cyrax. Even your grandmother's had it with you.
But you know what it is, Nick? Everybody's had it with you.
Your grandmother's had it with you.
See, all you're doing is reflecting.
Your own grandmother's had it with you, Cyrax. That's why she had real talking to with you. That's why you quit from YouTube 15 times this month.
It's not even true, bro. You want to know who she's had it with? You and your bullshit. That's who she's had it with.
Well, she's not trying to do a PBS documentary on me. She's trying to do it on you to get you put into a group home. She's had it with you. Especially now that you're a criminal.
Nick, there you fucking go with your lies.
Right here.
You don't have an honest bone in your body, Nick.
There's the law.
You don't know how to tell the truth, even if it's
the law. There's the law. That's you.
Or you wouldn't tell the truth if they hit you in the goddamn face like a goddamn 18-wheeler, bro. You wouldn't know the goddamn truth if it
Cyrax, you're gonna know the truth. Like a train collide with you when you're held up in court for breaking train law. Look at the law. Look at it.
You know what I say to your bullshit law? Fuck you.
Well, tell to the judge.
That only applies to private property.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does, dumb fuck.
So are you gonna tell me like a rape law only applies to private property? No, a rape is a rape, and clinging onto a train without express permission is a violation of the law.
Please face it, you're an obsessed fucking psychopath who gets off on fucking with me. That's all it is. You're obsessed.
Well,
you're a sick
that's
maggot.
neither here nor
You're
there.
a sick bitch.
That's neither here nor there. Whether I get off on fucking with you or not doesn't matter. What does matter is you're going to go to prison because you're in clear violation of the law, Cyrax.
See, you get off on fucking with people.
Yeah.
I get off on trying to help people.
No, who do you help?
I protect people from motherfuckers.
Cyrax, you can't even help yourself. Who are you going to help? You don't help your family. Who are you going to help? What do you mean?
Bitch, it might not be financial, but I do more than you do, nigga.
You keep them up all night with your screaming. How's that helping anyone?
Unlike you, Marty, I don't sit on my ass and beg for money.
No, you beg for money from your parents. All you do is consume $6 Starbucks drinks and keep them up all night. How's that helping anybody?
Face it. You don't.
Sorry, how is consuming $6 Starbucks drinks, screaming at all hours of the night, like right now, how does that help anyone? It doesn't.
Hey, Nick, let's face it. You're too fucking lazy to work. Let's face it, Nick. You don't have a job. You live off of mommy and daddy. Oh, and by the way, don't think that your mom and dad don't know about what you're doing. Because, believe me, they are pissed at you. And I already told your mom ahead of time that she doesn't.
I'll tell you this. I think she's going to be proud of me for turning in a known criminal like you.
Very recently, Nick. I already spoke to your mom very recently, and I even spoke to your...
They laugh at you, Cyrax.
Now, here's the thing, Nick. I already spoke to every single one of your family members.
They laugh.
And I already straight out told them this, that if they did not do something to help prison...
So my family's going to go in prison for me turning you in for breaking the law. What sense does that make?
All right, well, let me ask you this, Nick.
That makes no
because
sense.
you know I am special needs. You know I am. So what?
Oh, so you're special needs. How are you special needs? You've denied this in the past. So are you or aren't you? Are you or aren't you?
Do I really need to fucking re-explain this shit, Nick?
Yeah.
Do I really need to re-explain everything that's wrong with you? Right now, Nick, I can't.
I don't know. If I don't think you're special needs. Are you? Like maybe. Tell me. I don't know. Why are you special needs?
No easy for attacking a protective group or individual right now. So it ain't this. So right now, Nick.
So what makes you a protected individual? You're not special needs. Or are you? What makes you special needs?
I got you by the ball.
Is it because you're delusional? Are you special needs because you're delusional and your whole life is nothing but a figment of your imagination? Is that what? Oh.
Yeah, see this, Nick.
So are you admitting that you're delusional? I'm curious.
See, here's the thing, Nick. I'm not delusional. The only delusional one here is your fat.
Why are you special needs then if you're not delusional? I'm trying to figure this out.
But I know everything you're trying to do to me. I know what you want.
So, listen, all I'm doing is reporting the crime that you posted on your social media. I don't even understand what you're trying to say.
Nick, you don't think I don't know everything about you?
Okay.
I know every move you're going to try to make before you fucking make a scene. I knew this was coming, which is why I was prepared. I was prepared for this. Which is why I have been able to prove to many people throughout photos and videos of me being up at the railroad track that what I'm doing is not illegal, it is public property. Matter of fact, there's even a towpath that goes along the railroad tracks for public people to walk on. It's a public area.
Cyrax, have you ever heard of a bait car? You know how they set up cars so people will hop in it and get in, and then as soon as they do, like they come in and nab them? It's basically like a bait train yard. You see?
Yeah, here's the thing, dude. That train yard has been abandoned for years. Therefore, it is not illegal. It is public, dude. So therefore, you cannot have me arrested. There's nothing wrong with going over there, taking pictures with you on abandoned shit. Matter of fact, fact, it's illegal. As a matter of fact, if it's illegal to get photos of that shit, then why do I have hundreds and hundreds of photos throughout my photography portfolio of me taking photos and being in old abandoned buildings that are no longer around? Do you know how many people take...
Cyrax, that's because those abandoned buildings aren't trains. You're not clinging on to them. Like, what do you mean, dude?
Really?
Look at this. Read this.
Look it up.
Read this. No person shall climb, jump. Where does it say anything about private property? It doesn't matter. It simply doesn't matter.
You really are delusional, ain't you, fat
Read
fuck?
this.
You really are delusional, ain't you, dumbass?
And then...
You really are a dumbass, ain't you, nigga?
So you're
You
clinging
really are a
on
dumbass,
to
ain't you,
locomotives.
nigger boy? You truly are pathetic, ain't you, boy?
Clinging or attaching to a locomotive. That's you right there.
Dude, it was in park and there was no locomotive attached to it.
It doesn't say anything about whether it's parked or not. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yes, actually that part does matter. They don't say it, but anybody with common knowledge knows that all that refers to is when the train is fucking moving.
No, it isn't. There's no
yes,
specification.
it is. You know, like, do I have to get Michael hacking up here to prove your ass wrong? Because you know he'll prove your ass wrong in a heartbeat, motherfucker. You know he will. You know he will. You know he knows.
Where do you see anything about whether it's in motion or not?
He knows the law better than you do, nigga. I have a friend that's a police officer that I showed the photos to, and guess what? Even she said that what I did is not illegal. It is perfectly fine, you dumbass.
She's not a real cop.
Actually, she is. Okay?
Where does she work?
She's a cop for a state penitentiary.
That's not a cop. That's not a cop, Cyrax. That's like a prison employee.
Then, before she did that, she was a regular fucking cop.
Well, that's regression there. But
And let me tell you, bro, I asked her about this shit straight up. Is it illegal for me to do what I'm doing? Her exact answer is,
person doesn't exist, Cyrax. You can't name them. They don't exist.
oh, actually I do, but I'm not going to...
Yeah, right. They don't exist. That's okay.
No, the reason why, motherfucker...
Well,
you know why, Nick? Because I'm not going to have you going after them.
Well, that's fine.
I know why you wanted to say their name.
No, you don't have to.
I'm not dumb. I'm smarter than you, Nick. See, I know every move and everything you're going to do and say before...
Okay, well, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it does matter, Nick.
This is what matters. This is what
I
matters.
win, Nick. I always win. I always win against you, Nick. I'm Cyrax, nigga. I always win. You don't. You always lose.
You're a violation of the
You're
law.
a delusional little fat fuck.
Clinging to a locomotive.
Nigga, you can't even see your own goddamn dick past your goddamn
Clinging to a locomotive.
Nick, you are so fucking delusional that it's funny. You guys see, this right here, guys, is your fearless leader. A retarded fat ass.
Well, Cyrax, so then I guess I'm special needs too, then, right? I'm like, not anything I do to you, I can't be held responsible for. Because you're special needs. That means you get to play around on trains all day. Why are you special needs?
You're the bully. I'm the victim here.
I don't think so. I don't see it as such. I'm just ordering you for violating a crime. That's that, man.
You're not. See, all you're doing, Nick, is you're looking for
Let me ask you this, Cyrax, really quickly. Where were you at about 4:30 Thursday afternoon?
Thursday afternoon, I was here at fucking home, dumb fuck.
How about Friday afternoon?
I was here at home again.
So have you been to the rail yard anytime recently?
Saturday, I went with my brother Jake. But what business is it of yours, man? What I do is my business.
Okay, so you're basically admitting to it. Like you're placing yourself at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There were no crimes committed, Bob.
That's the thing. You're in clear violation of House Bill 667.
I would love to see you try to fucking prove that the rail yard where I was... all right, let me ask you this.
Right here.
Let's see you prove for a fact.
Right here.
No, shut up and listen. Let's see you prove that there are no trespassing signs on the railway. You go up there, your goddamn stuff, you get those photos, and you show me where there are no trespassing.
Cyrax, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. And don't think that I will know, because Marty, I know that place like the back of my fucking hand, so I'll know if you placed a no trespassing sign or not. If there are, then show them, point them out. But you and I have both know you ain't got the balls or the time or even the energy, because that's how fat you really are, to go up there and prove me fucking wrong for yourself. Go up there to that railway yard and prove me yourself, motherfucker. Go up there and prove me yourself. That little law thing, that don't prove jack shit. That don't prove a goddamn thing.
That's the law.
Prove me wrong, then go up there. Prove me wrong, motherfucker.
Correct.
Go up there yourself.
This is all the
Go up there
proof I need.
yourself. Go up there yourself.
This is all the proof I need.
Go up there and prove it yourself, motherfucker. Go up there and fucking prove it. Prove to me that there's no trespassing. Go up there and prove to me that there's no trespassing sign, you retard motherfucker.
Cyrax, why would I go and break the law? Why would I go and break the law and commit a crime?
You're not committing a crime.
It's 250 pounds. Your last name.
What song is that by Social Distortion? Well, Prison Bound, and I figured it was a very fitting tune to describe the state of affairs for Cyrax, the criminally insane person. Yeah, as Dr. Ruth Thorne pointed out earlier, it's just astonishing that he can look at the law, see that it fits what he's doing to a T, and somehow rationalize it. It makes you wonder what other applications he uses this with, or what he's capable of using it with. Like, it's kind of frightening. It's kind of scary. Yeah, man. Well, that's what's going to happen to him. It's really out of my hands now. It's out of any of our hands. The police are looking into it. There's really nothing you can do at this point. It was the worst shy impersonation ever. Well, yeah, well, he likes to feel like a big boy, you know. So I guess that getting him a child medium would probably be insulting to him. This isn't the first time that he's done this, actually. I don't know if you guys know that or not. He's been breaking the law for at least nearly 4 years now. I'm sorry, nearly 5 years.
It's an urban exploration adventure.
There's some things here that are really troubling, and he knows what he's doing is wrong. I don't know if he's embarrassed to get caught, or he's afraid. Listen, people are saying, oh, Cyrax is terrified. Cyrax is really afraid. Well, he has every reason to be afraid, dude. He has every reason to be afraid. He's going to prison.
What's up, guys? It's your boy, the Urban Explorer Virus. If you didn't know, I'm actually back here in the woods in Akron, Ohio. This right here is actually a guardrail to an old road that used to come through here, like you can see. And back here is actually, this used to be connected to this right here, which I don't know if you guys can see or not. But back here, this all used to be one big swimming pool. Like, this all used to be a swimming pool back in the early 50s, 60s. I don't know if I can get in there because all these freaking bushes.
Swimming pool, huh?
Oh. All this used to be a swimming pool at one point. Like where, I don't know if you can see through the trees, but back in here, that used to be a swimming pool back in the early 50s, 60s, I think mid to late 70s. So there's this. Let's head back over here.
Swimming pool, yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing that. It's immaterial.
And I will see you guys at the next location on this urban exploration adventure. Love you guys. Peace. What's up, guys? Virus here, back again. You guys don't know, I'm actually standing on the old railroad. Like, this all used to be a railroad. This one over here, I don't know if you guys can see it now, but it's actually closed off.
Stay tuned. So, as he says, it's closed off, which means publicly inaccessible, trespassing. That's what that means, Cyrax. They don't have to have signs that say no trespassing. The closure is the sign. Let's hear that one more time.
They closed off. Don't mind the gear. But that's the railroad here that you actually closed off. You can't go on anymore. And then it goes to the other side as well. Now, another cool thing that is awesome back in here is actually this. That's been going since like the 1800s, I believe. But this is all an old railroad yard. You got the railroad.
First off, it's the Acton-Barberton Cluster Railway, and it was actually built in 1994 or 1992. I believe it was 1994.
Yard back here, and the far back. Like, I don't know if you guys see how this is like way back there. But yeah. And
it says it's closed down. It has been closed for 40 years. Yeah, 1994. You can see stuff coming out of those things up there.
And you guys can see there's another building back in here. I'll walk over here for you guys. And shout out to everybody who watches this. You guys are fucking amazing. But if you guys look, this is the railroad that's currently in use, and poof, it stinks. So with that being said, guys, this is part 2 of my urban exploration adventures. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
What's this?
What's up, guys? Virus here on the last location of this urban exploration trip. As you see on this side of what looks to be like an old school building or some kind of lake building or something. Just take a look at this. You got some graffiti right there, which is dope. And then stars. The stars is actually a local graffiti artist around here. It's actually held up with a tagger mostly. Then yeah, see, you got the old fireplace. Down on the slide. Let's take a look back in here, see what we can find. Because even though I'm not supposed to be back here, I came back here because, you know,
listen to that. He knows that he's not supposed to be back there. What is not supposed to? Who says that you're not supposed to be there? What gives you that impression? And what are you doing right now? You know you're not supposed to do it because it's illegal.
Honestly. Then, yeah, see, you got the old fireplace. Got an old slide. Let's take a look back in here, see what we can find. Because even though I'm not supposed to be back here, I came back here because, you know, it's urban exploration.
No, it's a crime, dude.
Explore old abandoned buildings. Got some kind of pipe running over here. Anyways, guys, I have to get out of here before I get caught.
You hear that?
Over here.
You hear that?
Anyways, guys, I have to get out of here before I get caught. But with that being said, guys,
a little late for that, dog.
Oh my God, it's not us. You guys looking at all those peace sign over there.
You said it.
With that being said, guys,
Sorry.
this is the virus of the urban exploration of Akron.
He knows. He knows.
Around Summit Lake. But yeah, got like 200 basketball or something down there. I don't know what that is.
Bounce
I'm not even gonna bother with that. You guys can see it's kind of caving in right here in various spots. You got C star 77 right there. But yeah, this has been the conclusion to this exploration, and I'll see you guys later, man.
It's the conclusion of your freedom, Cyrax. Let me take a look at something I have on my phone here. Okay, one moment.
I can focus on the important things, like gazing longingly at the pool boy or buying.
Alright, I guess there was this kid in Akron in 2001 who was hanging out on the railroad tracks and basically got his leg severed. And of course, like, the family tried to sue the Akron Barberton cluster train line, whatever you want to call it, and said that they were somehow negligent. But the case was ultimately dismissed because while stepping on the property, which again just merely was in the public, it wasn't like an inaccessible rail yard, it didn't have an enclosure, it was just like a train track going through the town. The case was dismissed on summary judgment because just by stepping on the train tracks, the kid was actually trespassing. Do I think that this 11-year-old kid would be in prison if he didn't get taken out by the train? Yeah, I do. Maybe not prison, but juvenile hall. Yeah, 100%. Like, rail crimes are not a joke at all. It's taken very seriously. Very seriously. Exactly. 100%. Maybe sentenced to death. Well, I don't know if Ohio has death penalty, but if they do, then I don't know if it's in the sentencing guidelines, but it could be on the table. But I don't think so. I haven't seen what he's done earlier today yet. I'm kind of curious. But yeah, he's going to try to say that just because there's no trespassing signs, which is all discussed in that little kit. You've got steamrolled by the train. Okay, let me just throw these things up here. Took a gander at it while driving. Okay, 14-year-old kid. Yeah. Often walked to school along the tracks, ran east. Okay, all right. There you go. Basic description. What's this? He was claiming that, well, I didn't see any signs that said no trespassing. Even a failure to post a notice warning the public not to trespass cannot reasonably be construed as an expression of consent to the intrusion of persons who habitually, notoriously disregard such notices. Yeah, 43s in essence. You can see in the previous video that Cyrax even knew that he shouldn't be allowed in the old pool hall, wherever he thought it was. He just didn't care. He just didn't care. It just didn't matter to him at all. That's true too. That's true as well. What up, Straylock? What is this? Well, I guess we could always just call up ABC and see what they think about this. And it's definitely not public property. Not at all. Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. It's a misdemeanor, and people go to prison for misdemeanors all the time. So that's a ridiculous question. Of course. Of course. And he's committed multiple crimes here. Trespassing, and how many counts are there? If you take up all the counts and he serves them consecutively, which he will.
Oh my god, roll
he's looking at a lot of time here. I'm just saying.
Every second of my goddamn motherfucking life. My day is complete.
Yeah, that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. Public hanging? I don't know about that. I think that's cruel and unusual, but it's definitely deserved. It's definitely deserved. Alright, let's see what this little creep's been doing today. His final videos before he gets hauled off to prison. Oh, I guess this was last night. I think I missed the beginning.
Wow, Nick. You really are fucking dumb, ain't you, boy?
Just read the
You
laws.
really are stupid, ain't you, boy? Mm-hmm. You really are dumb as fuck, ain't you, Nick?
I mean, that very well could be so. But I'm smart enough to know that no person shall climb, jump, step, or stand upon, or cling or attach themselves to a locomotive, engine, or car upon the track of a railroad. And I'm smart enough to know that when I open my eyes, as I think most people will see, that that's exactly what you're doing right here.
I'm just going to delete
As
that.
you like to say, anyone with half a brain can figure that one out, Cyrax.
November 28th. Alright.
You really are stupid, ain't you, Nick? You really are dumb, ain't you, Nick? Nick the bitch. No, the fuck I ain't. If I was going to fucking prison, I would have gone to prison a long time ago, you dumb fuck. I would have gone to prison, alright? Let me ask you this, Nick. Let me ask you this. If I was really going to go to prison...
A dinner happened. Nick, you were there. Ye, you were there. I just want to start off by, how did this dinner come to happen, and what happened?
I was talking to Trump for about a month. We had scheduled the dinner in October, and then he announced for president. He pushed the dinner back to November. And I've been pulling together a campaign, and after I put up the DEF CON tweet, a bunch of people that had been canceled, like Alex Jones, I started getting in contact with other people that were now on the inside of the matrix. And Alex Jones, producer, said that Milo wanted to contact me, and here we are.
So that's how you guys got in contact?
Yeah, originally, and then I've suggested that we bring in Nicholas as a enormous extra brain firepower that he is. Most extraordinarily brilliant political commentator of his generation, and he's been treated just about as badly as anybody. So I thought he deserved to be in the room too. And yeah, that's pretty much how we got together.
So I have some questions about that, but we'll get through the dinner portion of how exactly this happened, what went down. So this is how you get in contact, the three of you. How is it that Nick ends up invited to this dinner, and what happened?
Well, he was rolling with me. I was impressed with Nick, and I was like, just come to the dinner. And we had Karen Giorno pick us up from the airport. And there was a lot of back and forth. There's another gentleman named Jamar Montgomery that was with us. He's an engineer at Boeing, and
I'm telling him we should raise everyone's volume.
Okay, cool. And we sat there, and it was like when Trump came in, I said, do you want to sit alone? He's like, no, bring your friends in. So a big thing is like Trump had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. But this whole, I just got to go right to the heart of this anti-Semite claim that's happening. This is something, if you read the definition, it says you can't claim that there's multiple people inside of banks or in media that are all Jewish, or you're anti-Semitic. And that's the truth. Like, it's the truth. What are we talking about? And
well, elaborate. What do you mean? You mean?
I'm saying, like, I've been labeled anti-Semite, right? So there's different beliefs about our bloodlines. Like the documentary that Kyrie posted, and in general, America has been left ignorant, and history has been changed. So when we start questioning things that question the indoctrination, then you immediately get, you said debanked, or what did you say happened to you, or
demonetized, deplatformed.
Demonized, demonetized. And what's so beautiful about this time is everyone got to see what's really been happening. And now we can really understand. We can see that Ron Emanuel was right next to Obama, and then Jared Kushner was right next to Trump.
But so we're getting right into it, I guess, right? I was hoping to go for the news first before we got into all of this stuff. I think the issue is, one way to put it is, you're expounding upon a localization issue that you've witnessed, right? Let me clarify. There are a handful of people that you see are Jewish in a certain place, and then you associate Judaism with the power, whereas I view that as not relevant to it. Like, yeah, you're substantially more powerful than I am, but I don't view what you're doing as an issue of black people.
Yeah, but have you ever heard the term the black vote? So it's okay to put us in one net, but it's not okay for me to put them in one net.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's the basis of the hypocrisy that people have been thinking about and knowing about and realizing for decades. We were all wondering how this dam was going to break. Everybody in the country was wondering, what is the root of this hypocrisy? Why can people talk about white people a certain way? Why can't they talk about that group a certain way? And the
wretched and wicked and oppressive prevailing orthodoxy of cancel culture, well, it turned out that the one thing that was going to break the dam was the biggest star in the world, and it took the biggest star in the world to do it. And now the dam is broken.
So let me tell you my issue. I don't like identitarianism. You guys are familiar with what that is?
Well, they started it, and they've been visiting on us. We're trying to break it.
When I was asking you about running for president, you immediately said, well, you'd be good for the black vote. And I said, is that because I'm black? No, not just because of that. So was that. Are you doing the same thing?
I didn't say that was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person, and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black? Because a lot of black people don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. And I think that
I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls.
Could you say the same thing about Judaism?
Well, let's look at the facts of what I'm saying, though. If you say in this neighborhood where they gerrymander this amount of time, so hey, I wasn't doing that. I was just gerrymandering the lawyers and the Hollywood executives and the people at the bank that debanked me and then froze my accounts. It's like we want to jump into protecting the idea that we can't put a net around something, right? But that's been my job as a producer, to take, a Roy Ayers sample and put a James Brown drum and put it within a 2-minute, 3-minute song. That's the way I actually think, and that's the way I talk. And now this morning I found out that they were trying to put me in prison because what they did was I moved $140 million into JP Morgan. And I said, I want to talk to Jamie Dimon. Like, look at me. I'm just going in naive, multi-billionaire. Like, maybe Jamie Dimon will let me in on some deal flow. Wrong. And I'm just like banging my hands like, I want to meet with Jamie. And I start complaining online. And then they debank me for complaining. And so I'm about to get debanked. They're like, you need to go to Trump's, the bank, AXO, whatever, you got to go. And I'm like, I've been trying to buy my own bank for the longest. And then we figured out how to get my own bank. It's like 50 million, 75 million. So I'm about to buy my own bank. But then, as they're about to take the money out, here comes Adidas with a $275 million bill for marketing funds that they agreed upon. Because I said to them, hey, I'm the marketing, give me the marketing fund. Which proves by the response they got when they stole the designs and said, we're going to not call them Yeezys anymore. So this is what I was already fighting Adidas for. So I'm fighting Gap, get out of Gap, fighting Adidas, and then I deal with this little bit of noise from, Zionism from the fashion world where they use this plant named Gabby, who's obviously like some kind of CIA agent, knows nothing about fashion. This is a certain thing. When someone can't dress, you know that they're not like a fashion person. They're just there as like the society, like the control that they try to use with celebrities, which has now been broken, right? Because where it broke. Okay. I want to get on like LeBron in a second, but I'm going to come back to this and just talk about this morning where, I'm not going to mention her name because she's a nice lady, but someone at Cohen Resnick tells me, and I tell all of my finance people, never use the term a lot, but they said, okay, you're going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And that made me feel like they're just like waiting, like we finally got them. We finally can put him in jail. And I was like, can I still run for president in jail? I found out I could. So I was like, okay, that's fine then. It'll be okay.
But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, they wouldn't touch your bank account. They would allow you to break the rules, regulations, just like JP Morgan and Chase did, just like Deutsche Bank did. So there is an issue to bring up with that. But when it comes to the race stuff, I think this is an important discussion to have because I
have to complete this thought. You guys got it.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, because I'm talking about literally finding out that they were trying to put me in prison this morning. Watch this. So
this morning,
yes. So not come to my house this morning, but I found out. Okay, so they put a $75 million hold on 4 of my accounts, and then they said you owe a lot of taxes. Took me like 6 hours to find out how much a lot was. They said, well, around $50 million. Now I'm going to different CFOs like, okay, so would this be tax evasion? Because I'm obviously not the most financially literate person on the planet. I was just a child, basically. Like, when you become famous, you stop growing at that point. I became famous at age 24, and I had handlers around. I had my mom around, different things. And it was always like you go from one handler to the next handler to the next handler. So now I'm having, I get to actually learn how to run a company. I get to learn how to, to count. Really, I was like Pablo in a movie. It was like I didn't even know where to put the money. Like, literally making $300 million cash, but you're just like a high-priced. We're not going to use the S word just because it's like too passe to use it. But it's like next year I was supposed to make $500 million in royalties, and like no one needs this amount of money. But when I would work on homeless shelters and ideas, I'd have a contractor. We won't say what race. And they'd be tearing down the contracts. It's all about, position. It's not about the amount of money that you have. And, to come in here, I feel like it's a setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, like I'm literally going to walk the F off the show if I'm sitting up here having a,
oh my God,
you
dude.
can't say that it was Jewish people that did it when every sensible person knows that. I mean, Jon Stewart knows what happened to me, and they took it too far. It was like American History X. Like, my head was on the side of the curve, and the exact people that I called out
actually is very
my head. We found out that my trainer was a MK Ultra Canadian intelligence.
He worked in the defense research and development in the Canadian military, essentially working on psyops.
Who's this
in the
guy?
Canadian military. This is Harley Pasternak.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me, and they when I asked them how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly, it took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look.
They would have Michael Jackson,
or worse, yeah. So, I guess what they did. Look at what they did to Britney. When she went in, she was tired, she was exhausted, she was in a bad way. But 10 years of that medication wrecked her brain. You can see it now. You can see there's not much of her left.
You mentioned Pasternak was the name.
Yes, Harley Pasternak. That's the text message that he posted that we were talking about before.
Here's
the lobotomy thread.
Yeah.
Before the show, obviously, I'm getting a bunch of messages from people. People are hitting me up, and they're like, "You shouldn't host them. They're anti-Semitic, they're white supremacists, they're racist." I do find it funny or weird, whatever, that, Nick, they call you white supremacist. You're here working with or for, one of the most powerful black men, one of the wealthiest and most famous. But a lot of people were saying, on the right specifically, don't platform them. And I said, well, I want to understand what they're thinking, why they're thinking it. They're involved in what may be the biggest news story of the past week, and we have an opportunity to sit down and talk.
Because the red media controls both sides. It just said it as simple as possible. Jared Kushner was next to Trump. Ron Emanuel was next to Obama. But since 1940, go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't that an issue of these individuals? Like you're extrapolating.
I'm going to order. With the last of my money that's available in a different account, I'm going to order a PJ before I sit and have another Lex Friedman setup conversation when I'm literally they're trying to put me in jail for my opinion.
But
I'm not going to have that opinion. I don't care about people. Those are bots that are trying to tell you. We realize, look at Pence. He sold Trump out. You get what I'm saying? It's like I would have never wanted to do anything that hurt Trump. I'm on Trump's side. Trump said things that hurt me. He lied about me, but I mean, he's known for lying. And when people used to tell me that, he's a liar, it's like, I went into the trenches for Trump. That's another conversation. There was no one in my position that wore that hat, and all of my surroundings exhausted me. It was like death by 1,000 questions. I know I'm jumping to another thing, but what I'm saying is, I know you got a rep for your people online, but it's like you got a person in real life that I'm not with it, bro. I lost the money for the freedom of speech, and that's what makes me the only American that we know that really deserves to run the country, because everyone else, your boy DeSantis, Trump, whoever they raise in a petri dish over on the Democrat side, is going to play the game.
Look, here's what I was trying to get to. You went right into the anti-Semite thing. I think it's something that should be talked about. But if you start bringing this up, you're going to ask my opinion on it. I'm going to disagree with you.
I didn't ask your opinion on it. You jumped into it.
But
I don't care about your opinion. I like your opinion on how we win an election, but I don't care about anybody's opinion, bro. I lost. They tried to put me in jail. They blocked $2 billion I had. Like what I told Farrakhan, I said, look, is it anti-Semitic for me to say his name out loud? Like I told the minister. Yeah, the minister. Like I told
Obama met with him too.
Oh, he was. Yeah, I mean the Jewish people allowed Obama to meet with the minister. So Farrakhan said, well, did he have the money? The contract for the next 4 years, if I hadn't done anything, would have been $500 million a year for 4 years. What I was fighting for was the IP, so my children could, I'm sorry, just sometimes I think about 7 thoughts at one time, because anything I see, I come up with like 7 answers to it and then just choose what it is. But the thing is, when I said my children, the reason why my brain kind of blocked, because it's like God is saying, your children are going to be okay. Baby mama's got money, right? God is using me. He's breaking me down, removing all of the, richest person, all of this, so I can serve him. And the more and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now, it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost. But I still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who is they, though? We can't say who they is, can we?
Press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
He's gone. I'll say it right now. You guys want to bring that stuff up? And then think we're not going to have a conversation?
Have the discussion.
Like you think Ye's going to come in here and say, here's my pain, here's my suffering, I'm going to say, I hear you. And then he's going to say, and it was Jewish people, and I'm going to be like, okay, but don't you consider, so I'm not going to do this, I refuse.
Go, make sure he's cool.
All right, go for it. Luke and I will have a conversation. So I can't say I'm surprised. What do I even do? Other than ask him, please elaborate on this. Are you referring to individuals, or are you quite literally blaming an entire group of people for the fact that powerful individuals are causing you harm?
I really wanted to ask Nick about his thoughts about MLK, because I know they contradict Jay's comments about that. But again, these are mass generalizations that don't really help anyone in my perspective. They just kind of sound like they're opposition. They sound what they're kind of going against, the woke mob that's always saying white men are responsible for everything. When I see people just use generalizations, it kind of cheapens the conversations. It cheapens a dialogue that we could have here that I was planning to talk to Ye about, specifically bringing up, like, hey, let's actually talk about this in a real concise way. Let's not get emotional. Let's not walk out of here.
Let me tell all you guys outright. I said this is going to be a big issue. Before the show, obviously people are going to bring up the questions of anti-Semitism. Why don't we talk about the news? I want to hear what happened with this meeting. I want to understand what Ye 24 is, and then we can do a longer conversation about any of that stuff. And Ye, literally in the first 5 minutes, says, no, I want to talk about a group of people and point to them. Whatever, man. You want to know why? Look, you're not going to sit here and you're going to walk out of the room. You're free to do so, man. But literally, I said a couple sentences about, I don't think that's fair. Did I insult the man? He seriously can't handle it?
He also left during the Piers Morgan interview he did, but he came back. So, again, we should be able to have this conversation. What's up, Chris? Yeah.
Look, man, I wanted to talk to these guys about why they're meeting with Trump. I want to know what happened with the dinner, because we hear a lot of rumors about it.
I want to hear about their 2024 platform, which they were promising, which they were talking about, like they're going to be officially.
Let me explain to everybody. That, unfortunate they walked out. Fine, maybe they'll come back. Whatever. This is the biggest challenge with dealing with identitarianism. I do not believe that the predeterminate factor in someone's worth, value, or agenda is based on immutable characteristics. Kanye's a black man. He does not represent all black people. There are Jewish individuals who work in banks. Dave Chappelle made the joke about Jewish people in Hollywood. And he said, but it doesn't mean anything. You got a lot of black people in Ferguson, doesn't mean they run the place. The point is, I'm all about individualism, meritocracy, personal responsibility. That means an individual of any background can be capable of anything. More importantly, we have employees here who are Jewish, who spend time in Israel, and would probably agree with a lot of issues that they would talk about, especially as it pertains to America First, bringing jobs back here and securing our borders. But then it's just like, every step of the way, it's like, bro, if you live in a world where a single group of people is haunting you, you're trapped. You're not going to get out. The issue is, you can overcome anything. I understand, and I empathize that there are powerful business interests that are coming at Kanye. And I will also say this, because I wanted to get into the Trump stuff. When Kanye mentioned he got suspended on Twitter, then he gets word that Milo wants to meet up with him. Then Milo puts him in touch with Fuentes. My immediate, my question is, okay, my thought to myself, we really want to know about the inner details of this Trump meeting. I guess it's not going to happen. My question then is, don't you think that, if Kanye is going to say these things and then immediately start getting involved with Fuentes, that only amplifies the accusations made against him? But I guess if they genuinely believe these things, that's who they are.
I was dying to interrupt. I was dying to say a whole bunch of stuff during his, his conversation. I respectfully, didn't. I was waiting to counter back, but we didn't even push back at all. Really, we didn't even really say anything crazy out there. I mean, come on. Like we should at least have the tough conversations. We should debate these ideas.
What does he think's going on?
And I don't know, but I just wish people were again like, hey, you don't agree with me 100%? That's fine. That's okay. I'm not going to run away. like, come on. Let's have this discussion. Let's have this conversation. I really wanted to talk about Balenciaga. I really wanted to talk about Harley Pasternak. I really wanted to talk about Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle talked about a lot of the things that Ye was warning about, specifically with people trying to drug him, specifically with people trying to, of course, get him on big pharma medicines. He was, again, sent to he was institutionalized a couple years ago, specifically on November 21st, 2016. He's pointing a lot of this blame on this Harley Pasternak guy, who, again, he's the one who's training Lizzo, Elliot Page. He was training Brittany Murphy. He trained a lot of controversial figures, and he is connected to Canadian military psyops. That's we should know what else is happening behind the scenes there, what else he knows. But before the show, we can't even get that.
Before the show, Ye was like, this was funny. He's like, how do I become president? How do you win? And I thought it was a rhetorical question, because, why would I know that question? And he was like, hey, man, I asked you a question. What do you think? And I was like, oh, ballot harvesting. Hands down. You go to door. He brought it up when he mentioned that I said that he would do well with the black vote. I feel like that's kind of oversimplifying what I said. What I said was that he's a celebrity. He's a personable character. He appeals to regular people more so. If he knocked on the door and you said Trump, Biden, yay, they'd be like, yay. But I do think that he would do. I do think he would do better with the black vote, simply because there's people who look up to him because they can see themselves in him. Now, let me elaborate. That's actually more of a leftist position, this woke position, because I don't completely disagree with every component of what diversity is. I think that it's true that if you're a little kid growing up in this country, and you're not white, but all you ever see on billboards and all you ever see on TV is white people, that means something, that has an effect on you. And that's basically what I'm getting to. All I can really say is this. Bro, if I can't ask you questions, call me like, hey, but don't you think this is localizing? He could have been like, I don't, I genuinely view it this way. And I'd have said, well, okay, I can only ask you the question. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe. But dude, what did I ask him? 3 questions about it? He just got up and left. He's going to come here and just talk and be uninterrupted. Before we started the show, he said, hey, we're doing this show. Why don't we do it every week? And I'm like, what is this? Is because you can't get enough on any other shows? I'm sorry, bro. This is not a show where you come in and talk by yourself and say whatever you want and say things that are that warrant questioning at the very least.
At least for clarification.
Yeah, I mean, everything
Oh,
should be
exactly.
questioned. Everything should be debated. Everything should be, talked about. We shouldn't stray away from uncomfortable situations. We decide to take things head on. Like, we have our particular viewpoints. They have theirs. It's obviously there's a difference. Obviously, we believe in different things. Let's see which idea is better. Let's see which idea wins out in the public sphere. Let's actually have that conversation. And it's kind of sad that we can't.
Well, I think it's funny that we got people in super chats who are like, "Why didn't you just let them keep talking and keep talking?"
But that's not how the show works. We cut each other off all the time. I just cut you off right now.
I know,
right? This is the way we do the show.
Guys, I'm sorry, man. I'm not here to do a show where we let one look. We had Milo come on a couple weeks ago, and he mostly just talked. And I think there's something interesting there. Milo had been banned for a really long time and hadn't spoken out in years.
5 years.
Ye's been on a whole bunch of podcasts. So when we were talking about bringing them on, I said, look, man, after the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, people were like, are you going to get him on the show? And I'm like, I don't want to chase after a dude who, like, he's in the news. Ye goes on Rogan before. He goes on Friedman. And then I'm like, that's cool. They got those conversations. Then we were told we would get Milo, Fuentes, and Ye at the same time, and we could talk about this big news, because that's what we do. We are a topical news show with guests. We are not Joe Rogan Experience. We're not guest interviews. And so with Milo, we had him on, and it turned into something different because the man's been out of the limelight for 5 years and came back and said Trump supporters want revenge. So here on this show, I don't know how to tell you, man. Ye doesn't have to do anything. He owes me no favors. He wanted to come on the show, but he didn't want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't disrespect him. We were nice to him. We hung out with him before the show. We tried to accommodate him to the best of our abilities, but he didn't want to entertain a conversation. I can't make him. He doesn't owe me that. He can leave. That's his thing. Appreciate him trying as best as he did. That's about it.
That's true. I mean, what else can he do, right? I mean,
look, let me tell you guys some stories, because I guess this is the show now. Welcome to the Monday night show. It was all hype and then all nothing. I don't like identitarianism. I've never been a fan of people who blamed everyone else for their problems. I remember during Occupy Wall Street, you had people saying it was the 1%, that was the cause of their problems. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You got 1%ers here giving you money. You've got rich people down here supporting Occupy Wall Street, providing funding. You've got, like, George Soros money going into these nonprofits that are funding you to complain about rich people. The problem is varying agendas. The problem is varying ideologies. The problem is everyone fighting for power for what they want. In Ye's circumstance, they're coming after him. They're trying to take away his stuff. They're threatening him with institutionalization, and I understand all of that. It's unfortunate that he's internalized this problem to it is a specific ethnic and religious background that's doing it. And I'm like, bro, it's specific people doing it to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. You can read Super Chats.
Well, I think Super Chats would be interesting to spur on this conversation. But
we made it 27 minutes, and YouTube didn't take it down. Ye just got up and left.
Yeah, people don't understand. We took a big risk tonight. Like, it was my channel, it was your channel, especially on the line, because, again, we're hosting conversations that are tough, that are not easy to have, that we need to be ready for, that we need to, of course, counter ideas just to let the best idea win. So, with taking this risk is just unfortunate that it played off the way it did. Again, he doesn't owe us anything, but this just should have done. I just wish it would have went a totally different way. But you can't control individuals, and if someone can't handle getting their assertions questioned,
well, why did he get so angry about it? That's my question.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not like we were confrontational. It's not like we were rude. I definitely disagreed with some of the statements, and I was waiting to jump in just to have that conversation.
Well, here's my thing. I don't know who he's talking about. I don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so when he says a thing happened to me, and I'm like, but who did it? What am I supposed to be like? You've got to. I'm sorry, man. Like, the idea that you've got a group of people of this, like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, man. It just doesn't. There's certainly powerful individuals who are friends with each other. Like I said, Bezos, billionaire. Bill Gates, billionaire. Bill Gates going on TED Talks talking about depopulation. You've got, here's an example, Shane Smith, CEO of Vice, Irish-Canadian guy, multi-billionaire, created a woke media empire. So when we're talking about censorship and silencing, and he says it's like Jewish or whatever, and I'm like, but what does that mean? Like, there's woke entities that are completely white European dudes. Antifa is mostly white European. They're not Jewish guys going around smashing up windows. This is the issue of people blaming a group of people when the issue is specific to something unrelated to their background. I don't know what else, man. How are you guys doing?
I don't know. I might want to go downstairs and see if we can get him back. I think it's worth a try. I'm gonna try to talk to him, see if we can.
I'll read super chats.
Yeah,
I'll read super chats. And well, that was fun. We're just gonna sit here.
I guess so.
We'll read some super chats because otherwise, that's it. You know, it is what it is, guys. We try.
I mean, Luke is right. He has left podcast before and then come back. Sometimes it just takes some people, and it's probably a good lesson. It takes a minute to calm down, then you can come back after.
He needs to explain what he means.
Right.
He can't just say, it's true, and I'm like, what do you mean by that? Who are you referring to? No, I'm done. I'm leaving. It's like, okay, then I assume you have nothing behind what you're saying.
Right.
And I'll tell you what else, too, because early on he said, like, how do I win? I said ballot harvesting. But I got to say, man, if this, like, why would someone vote for this?
Right. That's what's already been mentioned in the super chat as well.
Yeah. Yeah, someone actually said, why would I vote for a guy who's, going to act this way?
Or, like, trust nuclear codes or something. I haven't read it, actually.
Hey! Anna Claire's here.
Hey.
This one, or...
Go over there.
It's going to be Kanye.
This is cool. So, it's yay. It's yay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my gosh. Did I just dead name him?
Mary's here.
That's rough, man.
So what happened? Tell me what's going on outside.
So, Kanye and Milo are together.
Yay.
He is going to beat me up. So Milo and Nick and
they all just caught a car.
They caught a car. They're heading out.
But
they don't seem angry, but they just Kanye specifically said that he felt as though he should have been able to keep talking. He feels like not enough people are expressing this view, and he felt like, sorry, I just ran upstairs. I can't talk. He felt like perhaps cutting him off was not a good move. So
Milo felt like you were obstinately not getting the point that everyone in the room was getting.
They weren't explaining it.
I think that they should have stayed to explain it.
I wish they had to be able to stay to explain it.
Before the show, when I said, guys, I understand you want to talk about that. We have an opportunity to discuss this big news. Can we talk about the news before we, and then we'll focus on what Yay 24 is and what you want to do. But I think this is the problem with grievance politics. Instead of being like, here's my plan for America, it's, they're the problem. They're the ones doing this. Who? How dare you? Bro, tell me what your plan is. Tell me what you want to accomplish. Tell me exactly what your plan is, other than they're harming me and they're bad people, and I refuse to sit and listen to anyone who would say otherwise.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the major challenges about Timcast as a format show is that it's not an interview. It's this thing that I love about this program, which is like, you may be an expert in something, but what we really want is for you to come here and talk about the news with us, talk about current events.
Discuss.
And while, I think we're all really excited to hear more about, like, all three of these people's perspective on stuff. Like, it's hard.
They can't help it.
It's not a monologue.
They can't help it.
So
it's not that. It's like, hey, guys, can we talk about the news before getting into how you feel behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you guys didn't
I
even
understand.
really get into the dinner.
Because he jumps immediately into, he wants to talk about Jews.
Mm.
And I'm like, are you kidding, dude? And I said, you want to go right into that? Fine, whatever. So be it.
Yeah.
But if dude can't handle a conversation about it, it's insane to me. Look,
I'm not sure what he was
reality.
referring to that happened this morning.
He said he found out they want to put him in jail.
But what exactly does that mean?
Well, it sounds like what he was saying was he found out this morning that they're saying he owes taxes, mm-hmm. Okay. And that if he doesn't pay them, they're going to lock him up or something.
Okay.
And then the thing that he walked out on was you asked him to clarify who you meant by they specifically. That's pretty.
Oh, right, because I said
you were saying they as in the corporate media.
Is the establishment
I don't use
powerful
the
interest?
they the same way that you mean it, and then
he got up and stormed out.
Like, that's basically
That's crazy.
That's a shame. Like, I wish that you guys had gotten to have the conversation you wanted to have.
Yeah,
they don't want to have it.
I feel bad for the audience, honestly, because I feel like that could have been a really interesting conversation, and now we're in a position where I am Yay, and
who was sitting here? I don't remember who was sitting in the seat.
Nick Fuentes.
I'm Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
Guys.
Don't we look great? I mean,
what does he think's going to happen? It's like
he did say that he would be back
tonight.
No, he's not back tonight. Maybe he'll come back on the show.
In the future at some indefinite
Yeah, I doubt it. Dude, I mean, look, man, people...
How did pre-show go? Like, what did you guys, what was the vibe in here beforehand?
It was fun.
It was good.
And we should have just filmed the pre-show because they didn't even talk about this shit. No, I'm swearing. We were talking about like it was religious philosophy, plans for the future, and I was like, this is really interesting stuff. I know they have these views, I obviously, and people are texting me about it, and I'm like, okay, here's what we do. They had look, all they did was remove themselves from the conversation. They had an opportunity to explain what was going on and why, and all that happened is it seemed like Ye came in here and just went for every possible way to make himself look worse.
So what was like your burning question for this? Like, you knew they would probably bring this stuff up. You knew identity politics are definitely on the table.
But that's why I was like, I want to know what happened. Like, even before they got here, I was like, guys, we want to know about the dinner. Like, I'm hearing a lot of rumors. I'm hearing that, what was it, like Ye asked Trump to be his VP or something. Why was Fuentes at the dinner with Trump? What did Trump say? Is this true? Trump didn't know he was. Well, he said Trump didn't know who Fuentes was. That's what I want to understand. What is Trump doing? Why is everybody denouncing Trump right now? Is this a legitimate criticism of Trump? Apparently now it is. Apparently, absolutely.
The report that Trump began deriding Kim Kardashian and during that dinner seemed very strange. I have no idea why he would do that.
I feel like there's no way to know about this dinner without the 3 people who just left this room, which is unfortunate because that kind of dinner can affect so many people, right? There are Americans across the country who will be affected by the conversations they had. I would have loved to see the transparency and kind of know what's going on. And it's unfortunate that we couldn't progress further in that conversation, whether or not, we all would have seen eye to eye during it.
I can't believe he got so mad so quick.
Maybe he wasn't mad. He didn't really seem mad when he was down there. He just seemed uncomfortable. I don't know.
It's so weird.
I just feel like he's someone who has values, and it seemed like he felt like he wasn't, I know he and Luke had sort of gone back and forth. He said, you gotta let me finish my thought. Maybe he felt like this conversation was sort of being structured in a way that wasn't letting him express himself.
It's not the format that he's used to. It's just like a one-on-one.
That's what I mean by I think people aren't always ready to come onto the show because you are responding to current events. You are not being interviewed in a traditional way.
People don't get this too because we've had people on the show who end up not talking about their specialties or anything like that. So like someone might do a show on video games and then come on the show and talk politics.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, right, because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. So for example, shout out to our good friend Blair White. Blair White pointed out that on the last show we did, she was like, actually, every time you've had me on, we've never talked about trans stuff. And I was like, yeah, we talk current events and politics, and you're an individual who has opinions on it. That's what we do.
I just talked to them outside. They're in the car, and I'm like, let's let the best idea win. You don't owe us anything. Let's have this conversation. And essentially, he said, you don't believe in my truths. Like, this is my truth. You guys are denying it, and I don't want to have this conversation.
That sounds like leftist.
And I'm like, look, BS. And I'm like, look, I disagree with you. Like, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Knowing you.
And if you think you're right, explain it to us. That's what I said. I was just running up.
That's what I'm disappointed by. I wanted to hear more from each person at the table about just what they're doing and what their vision is, because even if you don't agree with them, they're really interesting and they are doing some really big things.
Right. Did he make any suggestion at all that he would come back at some point?
No, he's like, I don't want to have a conversation with you guys because you guys, essentially see the bigger truth of what his. I'm like, those are your truths. Defend your side and let the best idea win. Let's at least continue the dialogue and conversation, because people are going to look at you right now and they're going to say you can't have a debate, you can't even have a conversation. That's what I told them.
But did Nick or Milo say anything back?
They were just kind of snickering and laughing in the back. It's like, I'm like, we had this big opportunity right here to have this discussion, to debate it, to talk about it, and they were just like, no, it's not going to work. And that's all right.
It is what we complain about with wokeness and grievance politics.
He was like, I just want to work. He told me he wants to work with me on food, and I'm like, literally, he's like, hey man, I really want to work with you on the food, but with this stuff, like, I'm just done. I don't want to have this conversation.
I feel like it's hard. It's like I want to know what this conversation is. And I feel like without it, like, it's all speculation, and it's a real missed opportunity, I think, for everyone involved here. Like, even if you feel like you're going to butt heads, we've had guests on who are definitely opposed to both of you at the table, who are definitely willing to push back on the things you're saying, and like it makes the show better. I think it's better for everyone when you have tension in the room to a certain degree.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says Nick and Milo set up Ye.
Set him up for what exactly?
To walk out of our studio.
To walk out? At least he came at all. There are a lot of leftists, I'm sure, who wouldn't have even sat at this table.
Before the show started, I was calling Milo Lord Varys. He was screaming, "Don't call me that! Stop it!" And I'm like, "Okay, Lord Varys." And there's an aspect of this that I think is worth kind of considering when it comes to the kind of setting up the kind of larger things happening behind the scenes here. That I think is worth thinking about. That we sadly don't get a preview into.
Well, I had a bunch of questions, right? So we'll talk about those questions.
I'll answer them on Kanye's behalf.
No, I think Milo is a genius. Just because, but Milo's a very, very smart guy, and he's extremely funny, and he's very, very witty. And I think the stupidest thing the establishment did was cancel him. The stupidest thing Republicans did was cancel him, because this is Milo's revenge. Milo said on the show last time he was here that Trump supporters wanted revenge. And now the narrative going around is that what's happened with Nick Fuentes at Trump's dinner and with Ye is revenge on Trump, because Trump's reeling from this. So, you know what I'll do? Let's pull this up. Take a look at this tweet. We'll get some segments out of this. Igor Bobek. He's a senior politics reporter, Huffington Post. You know we love Huffington Post. He says GOP Senator Thune on Trump Fuentes dinner. That's just a bad idea on every level. Then he's got Frank Thorpe. We cannot tolerate anti-Semitism. It's bad, says Cornyn Blunt. I've been tired about responding about what President Trump did. I wouldn't want to have dinner with either of those guys. Ernst, I think it's ridiculous. The point is, every single Republican is now coming after Trump over having done this. And Milo's the one who connected it. So I'd love to ask Milo, you said years ago that you wanted revenge over the treatment that you received after being canceled. Is this it?
He's such an interesting figure for a lot of reasons, but it's hard not to think in the years that they canceled him, sent him back, he just sort of became more powerful and is now acting on some sort of master plan. I mean, this candidacy, Kanye's potential run for president is disruptive to the party. It is the same way that any third-party candidate entering a race can siphon off votes. We don't know what will happen if he becomes a stronger and stronger variable in this kind of dynamic. I know we speculated about if Kanye moves forward, what happens with DeSantis. They really do control a lot of the narrative right now, and I think a lot of that is to Milo's credit.
I think to respond to my good conservative friends who are messaging me like, Tim, don't have these people on, they're bad people. No, I think you should all invite them on. Because I think if anything is bad for their ideas, it's exactly what just happened.
Yeah. And when he first came here, was sincerely asking, like, hey, how do I become president of the United States? I'm like, we're not politicians. We're not, advisors here, but we gave him some answers, but he was asking that question a lot. It does seem like it's something that he seriously wants to, do. Talking to Milo was like, we can't say certain things because of the FCC, but, this is what we're, kind of essentially.
How is it that we basically had an hour conversation in this room, the pre-show, as we're getting camera and lighting corrected, and had nothing to do with any of that stuff?
Right.
Talking about religion, talking about philosophy, talking about, what it means for a potential campaign if they have one. And I'm like, this is cool stuff. This is going to be a good conversation. And then the first thing in 5 minutes, he's like, I want to talk about Jews.
Do you think it's like
the first thing out the bat? I'm like, come on. Really?
Was it on purpose?
Do you think it's that some people come into interviews knowing, like, they're gonna ask me about this. Because I'm sure I'm so bad at this. But I'm sure a lot of people go into interviews, especially when you're that big a figure with a target on your back, thinking like some journalist is going to sit here and get me comfortable and then hit me with one of these questions that makes me look bad. I think in some ways it must be at the forefront of your mind going into an interview, like, this is the topic that everyone actually wants me to talk about.
I don't even think you were going to ask about
I didn't think you were either.
About what stuff?
About his views on Jewish power.
I told
you were going
them
to mainly ask about the candidacy.
I want to talk about
topical,
like our show.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of people say to me, Tim, you need to denounce them right off the bat. And I was like, oh, that's so tired. Like, bro, anybody who watches my show and who's honest knows that I don't care for identitarianism, racism, anti-Semitism. But Kanye West is one of the most influential guys on the planet. He's got people who genuinely love and respect him. and he's got a bunch of ideas pertaining to what it means to run for president, what he wants to do, and why he thinks he's the best. So I'm going to talk to him about that. And then I said, even before the show, I was like, who are we kidding, guys? I know this is going to come up, but, we'll talk about it. And they're like, we get it.
Well, I think it's like
they never even signed the portraits.
I think it's kind of like when they're skipping protocol. It reminds me of the times that we've had Marjorie Taylor Greene on, right? Some people will hear that you're having her on and say, you can't do that. She's controversial. She does bad things. I don't like her. And ultimately, especially if you have some kind of tension against someone, hearing them out and getting their perspective is the best way to form your opinion accurately. And often, especially I've known with Marjorie Taylor Greene, we've had people be like, I just sort of wrote you off because of all the headlines about you. But getting to hear your side and getting to your perspective has really altered my view. Maybe it doesn't make you a fan, maybe it does make you a fan.
Hold on, like all the media that are like, deplatform, it's like, was that not a good display of the depth of their ideology? None. Unable to withstand 5 minutes of questions. I wasn't mean. I did not insult him. We talked beforehand, and I was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I said I don't use the word "they" the way you mean. I'm talking about and then he just gets up and walks out.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to hear what I have to say about my ideas, but I have to sit here and listen to him. You know what I think, man? There's a reason why Ye is who he is. They say that celebrities, all of them, tend to have some degree of narcissism. They feel that they should be seen by everybody, and thus they end up putting themselves out more, which increases the likelihood of fame and notoriety. Yours truly included. I don't think I'm exempt for any of this stuff. I'm sitting here putting a camera in my face, talking to it all the time, and I talk a whole lot. But I think Ye is a guy who has risen to this position because he's assertive and because he's willing to do something like that. Right. Imagine you're talking to a guy who's got $1 billion shoe empire, and you know that if you say the wrong thing, he's out and you've lost everything. Yeah, he owns the conversation. He does. So that works for him in business. Yeah. Does not work for him in politics.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a single vote if you're going to storm out and not do anything for anybody.
There's a lot of things to kind of break down and talk about here. I have my own theories and assertions, and if you guys don't go along with it, I'm like, yeah, that's totally cool. That's totally fine. It's not the end of the day. But I think it's also fair to say that he's going through a tremendous amount of pressure, a lot of stress. And I think when he was, institutionalized and drugged in 2016, I think there might be still, I don't know here. I'm speculating. Maybe some larger effects here. Maybe he still hasn't recovered from that. SSRIs and what was it, lithium that he was talking about? Those drugs have a severe effect on you and could affect your decision making.
Well, I don't want to discredit him with that, like the mental health stuff, because a lot of people have said that
I think it's worth discussing.
You can't listen to anything Ye says because he's mentally ill or he's off his meds. All of that stuff is just ad hominem. I think,
Yeah, I'm not
he's
saying
a 45-year-old man. He's extremely influential, powerful. He can make his own decisions, and I think that he made the wrong one tonight by one.
Enjoy the
absolutely. I'm just saying that this deserves
Your
also.
life is really weird, Tim. Today,
you guys are here too. Don't look at me.
It's weird for all of us. I really wish that they had signed the portraits. It really hurts me, my perfectionist brain.
Well, what can you do? But it's not that they were off the meds, that they were forcefully put on the meds. And when you look at a lot of people that are forcefully drugged, you do see a lot of long-term negative consequences and actions. Again, I'm not trying to excuse anything, but I think it's worth a discussion, especially when it comes to this Harley Pasternak individual, the larger effects of this, the threats that were being made against them, the pressure that you're talking about, going through a particular difficult, before the show began, a difficult situation with the divorce and custody with children. So again, tremendous amount of pressure and stress. No excuses for anything. Hey, let's debate these conversations. Let's debate these ideas. Clearly, that didn't happen. Clearly, he wasn't ready.
Some people are saying the whole thing was planned.
I feel like him walking out, or that you wanted him to walk out.
Did they have a car ready?
No.
They were in the truck.
They were waiting.
No, they didn't have a car ready. I mean, I honestly, as much as I want this conversation, I want it for the company and I want it for the audience, like, I have a piece of, like, I have some respect for someone who's like, look, I'm done. Like, I think so often we are in a culture that demands people continue to talk all the time, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. I am just sad that we didn't get to hear what happened at Mar-a-Lago. I am sad that we didn't get to hear more of these perspectives, because this is such an interesting trio of people, and it was worth hearing. It is worth knowing, because all we can do now is speculate.
Imagine sitting down with Trump, too. right? Trump, I don't. He's walked out on some, but I don't think he would walk out like that.
Hey, I want to hear his version of events.
Let's bring
what
him on and
happened
find
here.
out.
Yeah,
Because
Trump, you got to come on now because
there's also a lot of other reports saying that he was screaming at that particular dinner with Nick there. That there was a big argument. That there was yelling.
That was the point of bringing these guys on.
Yeah.
Not to like have him opine on his thoughts about an entire body of people that everyone's already heard before. Right. That's the crazy thing. He like likened this to a Lex Fridman interview.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, we're not here to talk to you about that. We're here to talk to you about your plans, man.
Yeah.
I told him this before the show, and I say this. You know, I don't think Ye's crazy. Some people are like, maybe he's bipolar. It's like, dude, we were talking to him before the show. He was of complete sound mind.
Would you do
He's just
something,
emotional.
like, would you do something different? Like, you led off tonight with a story about Mar-a-Lago. Would you have led off with something else? I mean, I'm just serious, because then you're
Look, man.
introducing our format.
This is why I think, you know, someone super chatted saying they think that this thing was staged, a publicity stunt, because walking out generates more press. Because it gives the press something to write about. Yes. If they didn't storm off, the press would have been like, here are a few things they said. But by storming off, now there's a story about Ye just throwing up and leaving, and that generates press. So it's like...
But it's not positive press if you're looking for political credibility. I think that part of the reason he walked out and he's this emotionally stressed out right now is because he has the soul of an artist and not of a politician, and that's usually a good thing, actually.
Well, if there's one thing we know from Milo, he understands that any press is good press, and he kind of utilizes that to his personal benefit. I don't know, maybe he thought if there was a debate, maybe things wouldn't have not looked as good here, and I don't know.
I don't think this is staged. I mean, I think we knew going in that we were going to have 5 enormous personalities in this room. Serge, I'm sorry about that one, buddy, but you're much more low-key. And that anyone was bound to become more tense. It was a question of how this dynamic would play out. And I'm, again, sorry that it played out this way because it leaves so many questions on the table. I just don't want to speculate about mental health or the effect of pills, or I don't believe this was staged, but like whatever happened, I just think that it would have been an interesting conversation.
Do you think you want to ask him to come back?
No.
At some point in the future?
No.
Not tonight, but...
I'm not going to ask him to come back, dude. He doesn't owe me anything. He doesn't have to sit on my show. He can leave whenever he wants. So let's be candid. Before the show, I get a bunch of people saying, like, are you crazy? The conservatives, don't host these people. They're trolls. They're anti-Semitic. How could you platform them? There's Republicans saying, like, we don't believe in platforming these people. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like when Antifa showed up to Ann Coulter's thing. I get it. That was more violent. But, dude, don't tell me about deplatforming people that are in the news on a big story, because that means nothing to me. Why are they there? Why are they meeting with Trump? I want to know. And if you don't want to know, that's on you. But I don't take this whole deplatforming thing. That being said, right now you've got people saying, Tim, you screwed up. It's your fault. Then I've got people saying, wow, you're a crybaby. I've got people saying, you handled it masterfully. I got people saying, like, you did a miserable job. Why didn't you played it wrong? I don't care, guys. There's nothing I can do. I am who I am. Before the show, people were like, have you been preparing? Have you doing research? And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, all I know is I told them what the show is. I told them what the plan is. I said, if you want to talk about that stuff, we should probably save it closer to the end because we want to talk about the news. That's what we do on the show. He didn't want to do it. He doesn't have to do it. He doesn't owe me anything. He's a rich guy. He can do whatever he wants. He got up and he left. So be it. Yeah, that's what it is.
So your ultimate goal for this conversation was to talk about Mar-a-Lago. Did you feel like at any point today you got any information or any insight into how that dinner went?
Well, we know Ye said Trump didn't know Fuentes. I think that's significant. I mean, that they basically threw Trump a life raft. Trump was reeling from this, being accused of all of these things, and now Ye basically came out and confirmed, actually, Trump didn't know who he was. I brought him. Oh, okay. I thought Milo set it up. Ye's like, no, that was me. And then I got in touch with Milo, and Milo brought this guy, and Trump didn't know who it was. I'm like, oh, okay, so, well, okay then. All right. Maybe that's why they didn't want me to do the show with them, because they were going to realize that Trump actually wasn't at fault.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Does it change your opinion of, like, I know you've been following kind of speculation about that dinner and speculation about Ye's campaign. I keep on calling him the wrong name. Does this change, like, how you feel about this as a potential influence on 2024?
You know what, man? I've heard a lot of people say that Ye could win, and for a lot of reasons. Like I mentioned, because he's a celebrity and regular people know and like him, but not if that's not presidential. Ye's a lot of things. He's a smart guy. They say he's crazy. I'm going to tell you, we were downstairs calmly discussing things. The dude is not crazy.
Definitely not.
Emotional, maybe arrogant, sure. A lot of high-profile people are. You can accuse me of that, I'm sure. And I think what happened now is a display of he doesn't need anything from me.
Right.
He doesn't. And so if he doesn't get what he wants, he's done.
So what do you think of the role of celebrities in American politics? Say, like, obviously we've had when Trump ran for office, this is like how most Americans knew him, right? He was the celebrity apprentice. He was a TV host. Like, do we think there is a market in American politics for people who have influence but are not necessarily trained politicians?
I just want to add this comment because we were talking about this when it was just it was just me, you, Ye, and I think Cassandra, and he talked about specifically how Donald Trump was like the Michael Jordan of politics because he changed the NBA and made it something totally different. And he was specifically referring to how the political game has been changed, how it is totally different, how it's not just, predominantly obeying and worshiping a certain political politician that changes his tone when he's with a certain group. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this future campaign is going to be unfolding, because right now it doesn't look promising.
I don't know if any campaign will unfold. That's yet to be seen.
Well, that's not from the information we got from.
I want to give a shout out to Danny Polishchuk. I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Danny. We've had him on the show before. He's a good dude. He's funny. He says crazy that the one thing Kanye has been talking about for 2 months somehow got brought up on the show.
I know, we never could have expected it. I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah, we knew. We knew exactly what was going to come up. And I told them outright. I literally said to them, like, if you guys want to bring that stuff up, I'm not just going to sit there and let you just say whatever you want. And they were like, we know. And I was like, like, who am I kidding? It's going to come up. But we have an opportunity to talk about the news. And they were like, right, okay.
So
yeah, you didn't want to do it.
How do you,
that's on him.
Like, I feel like people levy against you. Sometimes they'll call you anti-Semitic, or they'll call you far right. Yeah, I feel like people they call you negative things. Like, how do you deal with it? If someone was in an interview and was like...
There's a news outlet that tried calling me alt-right and had issued an apology and a retraction.
So you go after them.
They were like, Tim Pool, who is mixed race, is not alt-right. We apologize for those statements.
So is that generally, like, if you're in an interview and someone's starting to kind of push back against you, like, what's your protocol?
For what? Like, if someone accuses me of something that it's not true or whatever?
Yeah, or is, like, you often talk about this and we don't agree with it.
Okay.
You just let it go?
What am I supposed to say? Like, I think it's funny. Gizmodo reported May of, I think it was like 2018, that conservatives were being censored on Facebook. And so then I'm on Twitter like, wow, look at this, conservatives are being censored on Facebook. And they're like, Tim Pool falsely believes conservatives are being censored on Facebook. And I'm like, wait, what? I believe what I believe. I said that the Kyle Rittenhouse story was one of the things that convinced me to vote for Donald Trump, because I saw how insane things were getting, and this was so extremely dire. And it was a lot of factors. And then I get the media reporting, like, negatively that I said that. I'm like, I don't care if you view it negatively. I literally said that. Mm-hmm. Trump pinned the tweet to his page. It mattered to me. If it matters to me, I'll talk about it.
Yeah. I think, like, the thing that bothers me for being around you is, like, you...
There's protests in China.
Is that because of you? Because of this? We're so influential.
That's
Let's go. No? So we're just, like, fact-checking you.
We're going to put you on The View, Hannah. You better stop right now.
I don't like this at all. No. I mean, what about you? I feel like people push back on you all the time. Have you ever walked out of an interview?
No. But again, if you're going to say some crazy stuff, be prepared to back it up. Have some facts. You're going to make some claims. Back it up. Let's have a debate. Let's have a conversation. Let the best idea win. That didn't happen today, and that just sucks.
Yeah, man.
He reacted as if he led the interview like, so, you're anti-Semitic.
I know, he kind of said he set it up himself. He set it up himself from the very beginning. He's like, I don't know if we should do this. I'm just going to do this. And I'm like, why are you setting this up this way?
Like, there was no setup.
To be fair,
his setup.
I probably should have been like, yay, I hear you, man. I respected the story you're getting to. You want to hold off on that for a little bit? Maybe we'll talk about the news and then we can bring this stuff up. Mm-hmm. He probably would have been like, all right.
I feel like there was a semantic issue here when you used the term they, and then we had everyone sit up and be like,
Yeah,
well,
but
we
it's
use
like,
it differently.
can we use the English language?
Let's just keep going with the conversation here, too. Let's keep moving on. Like, because that's
Yes, who do I mean by they?
We should have been like,
a bunch of
no! Like, no! Like, as soon as he said, I shouldn't do this, like, yes, you shouldn't. Stop. Wait. Now, wait. We're going to be talking about this. Let's hold on.
Or you should have been like,
hold on.
look,
This is work.
at this time, we usually go to Supertown. Right before that, I'll give you the nod, and you can go into whatever you need to talk about.
No, but then it would have. We would have like I would like. There's things that I need to bring up, and other people need to bring up that's counter to some of their ideas that need to be talked about.
He didn't want to have a conversation. He thought he was going to come in here and be able to say whatever he wanted, uninterrupted and unimpeded, and no one would question him. That's just not the real world. Sorry, man. I think Ye is a very smart guy. And you know what's sad? I said too, look, man, I get all that stuff, like the Friedman stuff. It's stupid to keep bringing that up. I had people call me, and they were like, Tim, the first thing you got to do to shut the show is denounce anti-Semitism. And I was like, oh, that's so dumb. It's so tired. And we talked about it, and they were like, you think Ye's going to be happy that you're coming out right away and being like, I denounce what you say? And I'm like, everybody knows what he said. Anybody honest knows I think it's bad. I just don't agree with him on it. We need to talk about other things. And you know what I said? I want to talk about how you've succeeded in business. Because we were talking earlier, and one of the people who work here said, Ye's been able to go into every industry that's rejected him and flip it on its head and sort of take over. And I'm like, I want to hear that. I want to hear how it is that he's so influential. It doesn't happen. So it's like...
It's not every personality who can do that.
Look, I've been to Antifa protests. I was at Occupy Wall Street. Luke was there too. This is the mentality that we have consistently argued against. This is the same, like, you know, for the people who are fans of the show, how many people have stormed off the show? I'm not going to bring up these individuals, but y'all know. It's not people who hold logical, classical, liberal views, who believe in meritocracy, or who believe in having a good idea. It's people who emotionally believe a singular group of people are the cause of their problems. They can't handle a discussion about it. When you ask someone a question, I'll put it this way. If someone doesn't have an answer to an ideology they assert, they typically retreat to an emotional response. It's a defense mechanism. I'm hurt by this person. How did they hurt you? How dare you deny my truth? Yeah. A logical person says, well, they robbed my house. Yeah.
And is there a big difference between someone pointing to all white males being responsible for their problems to what other people making those statements as well? Is there a big difference? I don't think so as well. I also feel partly responsible for this because I told Cassandra to get Ye on the show. I also was responsible for the other guests that also there was almost a fist fight here with.
Leonard, bringing the controversy everywhere he goes.
Listen here. Want to be Hannah Montana. I feel responsible, so I apologize. It's all my fault.
I don't get it.
I'm sorry to the audience members for bringing
No,
up
I
this.
think
Sorry for Party Rock.
My Twitter DMs are lighting up right now from a bunch of high-profile people that are commenting like they just destroyed themselves. Like,
It doesn't look good.
They did not defend their ideas. They couldn't handle, like, here's the thing. I'm getting criticized because they're like, Tim, why were you letting them say those things? It barely pushed back.
I got like 10 words out.
They were on for 12 minutes. No,
27.
27, that's true.
I think it was 27.
No, but
That's a good number. I like that number.
Honestly, that's the mark. Donald Trump, if you come on and can make it to 21, you win.
Set the new record.
We'll take it.
You can win. 29, we basically let you stay in tennis chairs. No, but I think that's one of like the best things that could have happened in this scenario. Like if it was inevitable, if we were doomed to have a lockout, I don't believe it was staged. The best thing that you could have offered them was a platform. Like, that dinner is so interesting. So many people want to know what happened, and so many people want to hear from them. Like, this is a chance to get that side, and it was presented to them. Like, you platformed them for them to be themselves.
But the truth is, they don't, like, it's true what Tim said. They don't need this platform. They could have used it to their advantage nonetheless, but they didn't need this platform. He could have gone on any social media and said what he needed to say about the dinner. But it's specifically the format that it's conversation that matters, and yet the expectation was a monologue?
Well, and it's the news. Like, that was one of the things I was really excited about, was to, like, have you pull up the stories about, like, what's going on with the World Cup and hearing, you know, Ye respond to them. Because, again, if he is pursuing a political platform, like, I'm sorry to do this, I don't know a ton about his positions on things, so it really would have been interesting to hear someone who is potentially pursuing the office like that give his perspective, because I'm sure they're interesting. Like, Kanye, Ye is a really interesting person. He's a really unique thinker, and I think that is what we were all excited about tonight. Like, we just want to know how, like, when Ye reads the news, how does he come out of it the other side? I don't know.
I'm reading
Leonard's smirking over here. I don't know what's
I'm
happening.
reading the chat room right now. And every time I read the chat, I have a great time.
Well,
most of the time I'm on this show. I'm usually snickering in the corner here, reading all the chats.
What we don't see about Lewis is like he has 3 different screens up, and you can see the chat going on one of them.
I got an idea for a segment.
What is it?
Oh, we're still doing news?
Yeah, hold on.
We're still rolling.
Let me see if I can find this story.
You're doing great, buddy.
Hold on. Give me a second. You guys talk about stuff while I while I search for something.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to sit here and present my own thought. I think we should have another 3-guest show. I think that, of course, we should have Lucas here back, but then we should have Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Taylor Swift. I know that's important to all of you. It's important to me. I like to have a diverse
that would be an amazing
perspective.
chemistry.
I just really feel like we could all learn something about the cross-section of American culture if we brought
I think that Taylor and Elon would have some beautiful babies.
Do you think he's asked her? Do you think he's been like...
Oh, yeah,
We got a segment for first thing tomorrow morning from Breitbart.com. Kanye canceled by Kanye walks out of Tim Pool interview when asked to defend his anti-Semitism.
I mean, the bias is
that is spicy.
evident.
But like, here's the crazy thing about it. I was like letting him speak about it. I said, okay, if that's what. So some people are like, Tim, you know, you should have just let him speak. And Tim only wanted to talk about Trump because Trump's a safe subject, and he was scared about being banned. And I'm like, we said, okay, we're going to talk about it.
Right.
But let him start talking about it.
We also
weren't like, defend your anti-Semitism.
No,
that wasn't what
like,
you asked me to do.
It would have been a conversation that would have exchanged different ideas. There was different ideas coming from different points of view here that obviously would have clashed. The audience could have decided which idea is better. Me and Tim were sitting here with some of, let's be honest here, some of the smartest, most intelligent, most creative minds in the entire political, social industry, and we were ready to have a conversation. We were ready to challenge our beliefs, their beliefs, and to come up with a discourse. We came here for that conversation. The other side left, and
I just feel like...
I don't get it, though. I don't get it.
See, that's what I think the thing is. Like, I think the accusation of being anti-Semitic is so radioactive that it puts everyone involved on the defensive. Both the people who want to respond to the accusation and the people who are levying the accusation. And I can only imagine in Kanye's position that you are, or in Ye's position, I am so sorry, Ye, that you are tense to be prepared to respond to it because you're on you are on the defensive all the time.
And I want to shout out, hey, Greg Price, you're wrong. He says, Ye got up and left the Timcast studio less than 10 minutes into the show. Not true. You tweeted it at 8:25, bro. The show went live at 7:59.
Yeah.
It's 26 minutes, 25 on the clock, but it is what it is. I thought we were going to have that conversation in a member. I thought Ye wanted to actually like defend his position on it.
Yeah. If you're going to make some claims, back it up.
Well, and like, what would you have liked to have heard from him? Like, how would you
look? My view on it is so like we had Bannon on, and Bannon knows that if you question the 2020 election, YouTube gives you a strike. But he also knows I don't agree with him on it. And so he it was funny because he knows, and he looks over at Lydia and he's like, I can say that, can't I? And then he starts saying, talking about Donald Trump and fraud and stuff. And I was like, dude, now you brought up, we're going to talk about it, okay? And Bannon entertained the conversation of me disagreeing with him. Bannon's a savvy, smart guy. When I think the first time we had him on, and he and I argued about the election, I said Trump got anti-elected because people assumed that Biden's approval rating was the enthusiasm for Biden was so low he couldn't possibly win, but somehow did. And I said, but did you look at the polls showing enthusiasm against Trump? It was higher than enthusiasm for Trump, according to some pollsters. And then Bannon was like, yeah, I like that. He was anti-elected. Yeah, interesting. That's very good.
How often do you have a guest on whose views are difficult to talk about on YouTube? Because especially the vaccine stuff, I feel like we've had some where it's just hard to talk about it. Like I remember we had the Surgeon General on from Florida.
But also, he said everything he did. He was a government official.
But Ye had 2 people in his corner that are working with him that are also, how do I say this? master debaters that could talk about these subjects
You're
that have
12.
been
I just
that
want you to
have
know
been
you're 12 years old.
that have been talking about these subjects for years, and of course are ready to debate them. So he had people in his corner that were here with him, for him, ready to have his side. There's 3 against 2 when it came to this conversation.
Do you wish that you guys had gotten like more time to talk to Nick or more time to talk to Milo?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Milo was really interesting when he was on the show, and some people have said it's like one of the some high-profile individuals reached out and said that was one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's really interesting to hear his thoughts. Someone pointed out, Robert Spencer in Super Chat said, Milo is purposely making Ye look bad because he really wants Trump to win.
Do you think?
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
I don't really think that's how he operates. But
I sorry to interrupt. I thought, like, with them getting Fuentes invited to the Trump dinner, that was like really bad for Trump. Right. He's getting like every Republican coming out against him. Like, they seriously caused harm to Trump. If Milo wanted revenge, that was it. This negated all of that. Ye came out and said, nope, Trump didn't know who Fuentes was. Milo's the one who invited him. Okay, so Trump's in the clear now. So now I have no idea what their plan was. Maybe just trolling, fun, notoriety, you know.
It might all get overshadowed, unfortunately. All of that information might get overshadowed. Who knows?
do you think the Ye campaign could meet the filing requirements to run for president? Like, right now it's a hypothetical. There's nothing in documentation, right? We don't have a paper trail of a formal campaign.
I'm genuinely confused by whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Just trolling or something?
So what do you think's the best outcome from this?
This, you know, look, if you're someone who disagrees with their views, I think they just shoved their face into the mud. Like, I didn't even, come on. I've got people criticizing me saying I didn't push back hard enough and I shouldn't have let him say those things. And I'm like...
But then there's also the framing that you're like the hero that asked him to defend his anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Like, choose a framing, right?
Also,
even those things are true, though.
We got not even a quarter of the way through the show. Like,
right.
There wasn't enough
at least
time
give Tim a chance.
Yeah, let's let some rapport develop. We'll have
I mean, they tried to do just that in the pre-show, but it didn't work.
I'm sorry, Serge. We did, in fact, get to recorder. My false reporting.
Officially,
this is real life, man.
Yeah.
I don't like people who blame their problems on groups of people. Like when Occupy Wall Street did it with the 1%, I said, I mentioned this earlier, like, you've got wealthy individuals backing you. You've got, obviously, people who blame Jewish people. You've got people who blame white people. And I'm like, man, stop blaming everybody else for your problem and roll up your sleeves and chop some lumber. Work hard. I get it. You know, I was mentioning this earlier. I was talking to a woke dude years ago, and he said, people don't understand what it's like growing up being like a brown-skinned, like Hispanic dude in this country where all the billboards and everything are white people. Every movie you see is white people. Who am I supposed to look up to? So we look up to people in other countries. We look to people who look like us. And my response was, I think it's unfortunate that you see race as a thing as a requirement for what you need to look up to. But I do understand. You have a family. Every day you see your dad. You look up to your dad. He looks like you. You look like him. But then you look into what the country is promoting, and none of these people look anything like you. So I can certainly get that. I hear you. But the reality is, there may be dominant groups in every country. In China, the white supremacy is meaningless. It's Chinese. If you're a Uyghur Muslim, you're in serious trouble. It ain't the white people oppressing you. In the United States, the majority of the country is white and Christian. But you can succeed, and you can become a billionaire. Ye did it. And then, when he encounters problems with it, he decided the problem was Jewish people. I'm like, I think it's particular individuals who have it out for you, bro. Not like, bro, the Jewish people who work at this company have literally nothing to do with Ye's troubles.
Is that what he said? Like, that was how he ultimately viewed his problems? Or
yes, because I was like, what did they mention? I said, what about Bezos? What about, Shane Smith? What about Elon? And they're like, oh, they all work for Jewish people. And I'm like, what? Bill Gates? Come on, man. I'm sorry, dude. I can't buy that. Vice is a great example. I said this. If you really believe that, I think this might have been before the show. I was like, how do you explain my show? And he said, because God is on our side. I'm like, what, dude? Like, you can't say that if someone is against me, it's a specific group of people, and if we're winning, it's because God is here with us. Either you as an individual, regardless of race, gender, orientation, identity, can succeed, or you think everyone is underneath the boot of some group of people.
So what role do you think identitarian thinking has on the American public? Because I do think the points about, like, we isolate certain racial votes, we use them as blocks to win.
Identity politics and identitarianism aren't necessarily the same. They overlap. Identitarianism is government based on identity. Mm-hmm. So, so I should be careful about how I say that, and I should probably try to clarify better. If you think that you are inhibited in any way, or I should say, if you believe it is impossible because of your identity, then it is a disservice. You are being lied to. There are people I know from the Philippines who are wealthier. Actually, I think it's like Filipino immigrants make like $90K to $120K on average in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's not the race of the individual. It is their perseverance, their willingness to work really, really hard. I think the problem with identitarianism or identity grievance politics is that you start to believe you can't succeed because of immutable characteristics, seek to blame another group of people, and then you get chaos, violence. And that's what we see with, from Occupy to the Antifa to the BLM stuff. Black Lives Matter going on protesting, calling black people white supremacists. I'm like, you see where the ideology is bankrupt? So you get Candace Owens, who's a black woman, who has conservative opinions, and they call her a white supremacist. It's like, okay, your race-based politics are bankrupt. That makes no sense to me. They claim that Luke, being Polish, is a person of color, and we joke about it all the time because Luke is a white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired man.
Hey, my people's struggles are real. But there's a problem with generalizations. There's always exceptions to the rules, and I think when you speak in overgeneralizations, whether you're blaming one particular race or all particular white men for your problems, you're just being intellectually lazy. I think there could be a real discussion to be had on a lot of very powerful people, on a lot of very bad people, but once you just start making lazy generalizations, you hurt yourself and you hurt the major claims that you're making, because you're also going after innocent people. You're also going after people who have nothing to do with your ills or your problems. You're going after people who, of course, aren't the source of your problem, and you're just pointing fingers, and you're just pointing fingers at them, which is not fair.
Mary's going to walk out. This is why the conversation with Kanye needed to occur, because I don't necessarily think that he is just making lazy generalizations to blame a group of people for his problems. His problems are not ordinary problems that ordinary people face. And to the extent that we still operate on a meritocratic system, that is how Kanye became the success story that he is. But I think that he's trying to point out ways that his success is now being used against him, and he feels like he's being used as an instrument or a cog in a much larger machine. He doesn't know what to call it, maybe, or he's not impugning it for the right reasons, but that machine does need to be investigated and talked about. That didn't happen tonight, and that's what's so unfortunate about it. There was just there was too much miscommunication here for that to happen.
He said at the beginning of the interview, it's like, I'm not allowed, like, they can lump together the black vote, but I can't lump together this group's vote, or what, something to that extent. I'm paraphrasing here, and I find that interesting. I do think that I've always believed that Americans are extremely uncomfortable talking about race, and that makes it almost impossible to make any progress on that front, because you are so afraid of saying the wrong thing. And that's what I think would have been maybe the best outcome of this conversation, is to get someone else's perspective who right now is willing to take a huge risk. I know what you're saying. Like, definitely there are people who are willing to blame their problems on, everything's out to get me, this is the system is rooted for me to fail. But I also think that there are, I think the way we view race has creeped so much into our government that we do have systems that specifically are designed to lift people up, and unfortunately can make the playing field unlevel and hurt some groups of people. I don't think that we're able to fundamentally unpack how we view race in this culture, because it's become kind of a left-wing taboo.
Ian is back.
What's up, guys? No, Ian. All right.
I want to.
Yeah.
Grant, come hop in, brother. So here's I want to tell you.
Nick was afraid of your crystal rocks, by the way. He was like, "Please, someone move these rocks for me, please."
Before the show, when we were all talking, Kanye would be in the middle of an idea, and I would be nodding along, and I would put up a few fingers. This is what I do when I signal, like, I've got a thing to say. Like, people often say, like, Tim interrupts all the time. I do, but, it's a show where we do cut each other off. Maybe I doodle too much. Look, I try. But I often do. I'll hold my hand up and, like, nod along, like, either because we got to change the subject, go on to a new segment, or go to Super Chats. When I would do that, Ye would immediately stop and be like, you want to say something? And I'd be like, oh, no, keep going. I was going to, after you're finished. Like, before the show, he was totally like, I put my hand up and he'd be like, yes.
Observation I had, reason I came up here, I was watching the show and listening, and I think Kanye is an empath. He works off Ye. Thank you, Ye. You changed your name, brother.
I'm struggling with this.
And he works off tone, like big time tone. And in a room like this with 6 people, when one person asks somebody else a question and then the third person answers and then everyone's that's why he was thinking of 7 things at once right before he got up and walked out. So it's just a different way to communicate,
Yeah,
I think.
I think you're totally right. In this room, it's very hard to sometimes tell. Like, it can feel like someone's not on your side more than they actually are, or there's more tension, maybe, because people get animated, and then you have to look over here, and then the screen changes. Like, you've been doing this show for a long time at this point. Like, I know you probably feel that, too, and, like, you can't totally get the rhythm because at any time someone else is going to jump in.
It's like being in a tornado a lot of times. A really enjoyable tornado, but if you're not used to it.
That's why it's confusing to hear him compare it to the Lex Friedman podcast, because that's one-on-one. You're talking for nearly 4 hours together. You have complete and utter freedom to say whatever you want. But then this is supposed to be a conversation that pinballs around. That's nothing like Lex Friedman.
Right. I feel like what he was saying is he was expecting to be, I guess, scripted questions or some kind of narrative or something else that was beneath what was happening, or ulterior. That's what he was referring to.
Or just a loud monologue.
Right, exactly. Which has never been the case for the show. It's never been like that. That's why I like it. That's why I watched it.
People wonder why...
Maybe he wasn't familiar with, like, your viewpoints or how you do things.
I told him before the show, if you guys expect to talk about this stuff, I'm going to push back on it. Yeah, of course. Well, like, that's why I'm like, when people are like, they staged it, I'm like, okay, maybe, think about this. As I stated earlier, if they stayed on the show and said things that everyone already knew they thought, what's the story? If they get up and storm out, the story was put up on the internet within a minute of it happening. Ye storms out of interview.
And they never got their ideas challenged or questioned.
Exactly.
They had 2 people that for especially one, for years that were specifically debating this issue, that were arguing this issue, that again, were studying this issue. We came to of course, have that conversation. They didn't want to have.
Does walking out just mean all publicity is good publicity?
Yes. The moment we got into the point of any kind of adversarial questioning, they were done and they walked out. They didn't have to have their ideas challenged, but they got the PR.
I feel like the human race right now is coming together, like with the internet, and we're just at this weird stage of our evolution where you get these really different people. We're forced to come together. We have no choice. If we're going to survive and create, American republicanism and freedom and stuff, we have to work with people that we do not understand or like half the time sometimes. And it's just a weird, it's like mixing oil and water. You see these weird environments and things where it's too much for somebody one day, and then the next day you're still friends. I digress, but I think it's to be expected, these kind of things, and it's not like a bad thing.
Well, you're also like an empath, kind of. I don't know.
Maybe it would have gone differently and better if you had been in the room, actually.
I think
there's always more, it's worth seeing in all perspectives.
Yeah.
Do it again. We'll do
You're
it again.
someone who, like, when I talk to you, I feel like you are 1,000% attentive to what I'm saying, and maybe the format that Ye was in here, without you involved in the conversation, just didn't feel that way. Like, he didn't feel heard.
We did have a good conversation for a show about Parler, and I'm like, I want to.
What did he think about Parler?
Well, I want to federate it with Minds, Rumble, and Twitter, so that they can all interoperate. He was like, "What's that exactly?" And we talked about that. Yeah. He was super down with that. We didn't get to talk about graphene yet, but we will.
We will. You have plans? You're going to call him later? I mean, I think one of the things is Milo has been on the show before, so hopefully he would have familiarized Kanye with, like, the format, and maybe that was just not, like, lost in translation. Would you have Nick back on his own?
Ian, handle for 5 minutes.
You got it, brother.
Okay, would you have Nick back on his own? Like, can we have these guests separately, or was the power of the interview that all 3 were here?
At this point, every day, every way, I'd have all 3 of those guys back on their own. They each deserve to speak, and hopefully they'll get a chance to. I personally would have. I'm very open-minded, sometimes maybe a little too radical, a little too eccentric. I'll have people on that like, why are you interviewing the devil, Ian? Well, I mean, let's find out why people think he's so evil. Let's get down to it.
Yeah. Did it take you a while to adjust to this format? Because it is, like, with looking at the news and responding to it, like, you're not necessarily here to discuss your expertise. Did that take you a minute to fall into line with?
Yeah, at first it felt like a jam session. I was treating it like a jam session. He and Tim would come in, I'd make as much noise as he was. We were just splattering it, and he would get frustrated and kept getting, and it was like, this is, at one point he kind of said, listen, I'm the orchestra. Like, I'm the what do they call it? The guy that's leading the orchestra.
Conductor.
Tim's like, I'm the conductor. I'm like, that's right, I'm first trumpet. It's not a jam session. We're not equals here. Tim is conducting this environment. At least that's how I treat the
Yeah, I do.
It's called Timcast.
You know. It's not called All of Us Cast.
No,
not Communist Cast.
If you're not having your ideas challenged, what are you doing? I mean, come on. And we talk over each other. Me and Tim disagree. We argue. We debate all the time. We had a big debate about Bill Gates, and we saw things differently. We had a whole debate about, the jabs. We had a whole debate about so many different issues, and it's fine. It's okay. And I think, more and more you're seeing a lot of parallels from the left on the right. So, a lot of the wokeness, a lot of the blaming everything on generalizations, a lot of the kind of more emotional based aspects, a lot of the kind of ways that people handle themselves, asking for more government intervention. I think it's almost directly the same in a lot of instances, and I think that's a fair critique that needs to be criticized, especially with people calling for more government, especially people who are trying to blame everything on one particular group. I think more than ever, we need conversation, we need debate, we need paradigms shattered, we need them broken, we need to get rid of this thinking that some man or some government is going to come in and fix everything for you, because they're not. No one's coming to save you. You can only save yourself. Personal responsibility, decentralization, localized community efforts are the way that this is going to be solved. Listen here, Ghost Girl. Stop interrupting me. And Claire, stop being rude. Listen, you women go start your own view show. Stop being rude and interrupting me. I'm talking here about a specific.
Thank you very much.
I'm talking about a very specific issue that I think is worth mentioning now, because, again, there are a lot of parallels between the left and the right. They're essentially calling for the same thing, acting the same way, and representing them the same way. Now, you women go squawk at each other.
No, I'm serious though. Lee, is there a specific story you would have liked to discuss with Kanye tonight? I mean, that was the thing that I am so sorry. I'm not doing this on purpose.
Hannah, you know that we already went over this. We already talked about this. Like I said, yes. I already like Hannah. We already talked about it. I said, hey, I wish we would have talked about this, and this.
No, but I'm just curious. Can you remind me what you said?
Harley Pasternak, the Canadian Psychological Operations, Dave Chappelle essentially warning on Oprah what he went through. Seems like exactly what Kanye went through, and this is what Ye went through, and this is why I specifically brought up him being institutionalized, because I think there's a bigger conversation to be had with this Canadian military guy who worked in psychological operations that is one of the bigger players in Hollywood. I think there's a bigger conversation to have about that. There's a bigger conversation to have about Balenciaga and all the occult secret stuff that they've been kind of showing, to the point where they have now deleted their Instagram and their Twitter. I think there's a bigger conversation to have about, JP Morgan and Chase and Jeffrey Epstein. So these were the issues that I really wanted to get into, because I thought they were extremely important to highlight the larger parallels of what he's warning about to how other people have been affected by it. And when I brought up the meds before, specifically, I think it's worth talking about, because when you look at the text message that he released between himself and Harley Pasternak, who essentially looks like he was the one that institutionalized him, because he was at his home. He's the one that was threatening to drug him and to put him in zombie land forever, to the point where playing with his children wasn't going to be the same ever again. That was a huge threat made against Ye, right? This is why I think it's important to talk about SSRIs, psychotropics, all the drugs, especially with the way that they have affected individuals like Jordan Peterson. To think that these drugs that Big Pharma gives out like they're just candy doesn't have any long-term mental effects, I think is a conversation that should be had. It shouldn't be a controversial one, since clearly there's a link there.
Why do you think people are afraid to talk about this? You might have views on this too. Like, why do you think SSRIs, or they call them mood stabilizing drugs or whatever, like, why do you think people are so afraid to discuss that?
Well, there's a big industry. There's a huge big pharma industry that has their money in their hands and everywhere, that I think is worth criticizing, that I think is worth talking about, and this is why I wanted to bring up the...
Do you feel the same way about about like lithium or antipsychotic drugs as you do about SSRIs?
I think
there's a far bigger portion of the population taking SSRIs than antipsychotic medication.
Exactly. I think a lot of the studies, a lot of the findings haven't really been officially kind of delved out. I think each person is unique, each person is individual, just like their brain chemistry. And once you start tinkering and messing around with people's brain chemistry when they're all different, I think this leaves for a recipe for disaster. So as far as those two particular different kind of substances, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scientist, I'm not here trying to give you guys any kind of medical advice. That's the last thing I would want to do. I know you would want me to be, but I'm not, Hannah.
I just believe, Lee, that you could be the world's best doctor.
I know
go back to Poland, do the medical school.
I know you would, but...
What kind of doctor would you be? Did you ever want to go to medical school?
I have a lot of jokes that I could make here right now, but I won't. I'm more mature than this.
No, but I'm being serious. Like, you've always been interested in wellness, ever since I've known you. Like, have you ever wanted to study medicine in any, like, serious capacity?
Well, yeah, I don't think you need licenses or permission to study anything. I've been looking into a lot of the scientific studies. When Dr. Drew was on, we talked about Paxlovid. I thought that was a very interesting, important conversation to have, and I think I've held my weight when it came to debating a lot of those very important, controversial ideas. But again, everyone has their own decision. And this is what me and Ye were talking about when we first saw each other. He picked up a bar. I'm like, you don't want that. That's poison. Here, let me get you some good